Today we are going to demonstrate the functionality and some of the finer points and authenticity markers of the W113 Pagoda series. We are fortunate to have this one-owner, highly authentic, show-winning car in our care. Let's start at the back of the car. This is something very interesting. We all know that Pagodas have chrome exhaust tips, but a lot of folks don't know that the original style is no longer available. In the original style, the rolled end is flattened on top. And all that's available today is a reproduction, and it's just a simple roll where it's round on the top. It's a very subtle detail, but the judges, or a lot of the judges, know about that at a Concours show, and a lot of Mercedes purists know about this. Moving from the exhaust tips, we have this lovely chrome locking gas cap with the Mercedes star. And it's counterintuitive, but when it spins like this, it's locked, because you can spin it and spin it and spin it, and it won't come off and it won't tighten anymore. We have a very nice package here of the original keys with a very nice original fob. And the ignition key, of course, is the one with the black plastic. The square one, among other things, does the locking gas cap. And it goes right in the keyway like that, and then turn it 180 degrees, and it becomes solid. And then you're able to actually remove it. And it's a nice snug fit, so it does not leak gasoline. It has a cork gasket, which is replaceable when they get old. And then you just, after you fuel up, you just reverse the procedure, not turning the keys yet, and just turn it back into place. And then spin the key back 180 degrees, and you'll notice it spins freely, does not come off. That's our locking gas cap. And they are individually keyed to each car. Inside the trunk, we've got this lovely fitted luggage, among other things, and a strap that holds it down, original to this car. And just going to get it out of the way now so we can display some other items. We've even got the original Mercedes tag on this luggage. Inside the spare tire cover, there's a little pocket, and it's filled with toolkits, lug wrench, other things. I'm going to start. This is an optional item. Most cars don't have this one. It's a very rare option, and it's a light you can plug in under the hood, whether you're working on the engine or changing tire, or if you just need a light outside the car in the dark. Plug this in, you've got light. You know, our client who owned this car its whole life, it was meticulous. He even has a towel with the Mercedes star. Here's a tire iron, or lug wrench, we would call it. But deep in here, here's the main tool kit. And these were variously made of soft top material, canvas, which is what this is, or sometimes seat material. Rarely do they match the seats, but the technician would have grabbed whatever they had, and for filling out the trunk with each for each car to have a tool kit. Got this lovely little packet. That's the owner's packet. Has all the books. Here's another rare item. And this is another toolkit. It's an optional toolkit. Orient that the correct way. Has grease guns, large and small, channel lock type pliers, open end wrenches, and box end wrenches. Another tire gauge to go with the other one, and 2 big wrenches. This one is for the oil pan. It's a rare little item here we should showcase. Most folks don't know what this is. And it's a little item that you would, when you're changing a tire, you screw this in to the hub, and it allows you to hang the tire there so that you can get the lugs on easily. It's even detailed on this. I'm going to put this back just a moment, and we'll get the luggage out, and we're going to show the only item that was not restored on this car. I'm going to take out the top piece of this fitted luggage. Is this hang tag. And there's that little tool. And it shows it in place there. These labels are available, reproduction, but this is the actual original item for this car. Very, very nice to have. So underneath this nice strap, which would hold your luggage during spirited driving, are these 3 pieces of fitted luggage, and fitted because they fit in the rather tight confines of a Pagoda trunk. You've got the big one and the third one that tucks right in the back. Now that the luggage is out, we can actually get to the lower area. I should mention there are items that aren't showing. There's a jack, which is under the spare, and a tire chalk for blocking the wheels when you are jacking the car up and down. This is the chalk and the jack. So this rubber mat is significant in the fact that it's rubber, which, as most people know, is a barrier to moisture. It would hold water. Good news is if water gets here, it doesn't get to your trunk floor. Bad news is if there's already water down here or condensation, it's trapped there, essentially. It would eventually come out, but not before it causes oxidation, unfortunately. So this is the area anyone purchasing one of these cars would like to examine up close. Even if folks have the trunk filled with personal items, you really need to pull it out, look at your trunk floor. And this one is all original metal. And of course the car was fully restored, but it did not require any heroic efforts of changing metal or floors or anything like that. And as testament to that, we have our original spot welds all over here in the back as well. And then seam sealer on top of there, which has this brushed texture. That's literally how it was done, with a brush, a manual brush. You can't imagine any automobile manufacturer today having a technician brush seams, but that's how it was done back in the old days, and it's part of the charm of these vintage cars. Good idea to pull the rubber mat up occasionally on your Pagoda. Check under there, make sure it's not damp, maybe let it air out for a day. If you're doing that, you can pull the light out, which is under the trunk. You can see it reflecting on my hand. Just pull the bulb out, you can leave your trunk open, it won't kill the battery, or disconnect the battery. Let's check the interior. We've got this lovely door panel, US map pocket, because it's a US car, not the hard Euro type map pocket. All the moving parts on this car are virtually new, and a testament is how easily they work. Everything works flawlessly, just the way the factory intended. At the beautiful dash fascia, body color always, we have the glove box, which is lit, and it has a map light. One light does double duty. It's lockable. Defroster, I can feel it on my feet. Clock, radio, and the noise you hear is the electric antenna. The antenna just retracted. Heating and ventilation controls, cigar lighter, four-way flashers or hazards, light control. Back here, we've got three-point seat belts, even in 1967. They work a little differently. Aircraft style. Lift the buckle to release, as the flight attendant says. And we have these nice little ports to hang the one end of the seat belts. Always keep this one away from here to avoid denting those beautiful chrome entry garnishes. Up front, we've got rubber mats in this car. Most people are used to seeing carpet there, but that's a feature of the 280 SLs. This is a 250, and they have rubber mats. In this case, we also have another feature. We have a transverse rear seat behind me. And if for some reason one didn't want to use that transverse seat, we've got the original panel boards the factory made available, which are carpeted to match the rest of the carpeting, which is a German square weave. Next to them, we have carpeted floor mats, which were just to protect the rubber mats. Key on now, and those are the wipers. They're oriented up right now so as not to scratch the window since it's dry. And if we push forward on the lever, we get the washing feature. Up front, we have this feature known as notches in the Pagoda world. And 20, 30 years ago, people didn't even know what they were or thought they weren't supposed to be there. But it's just a feature. There's a notch on the headlight chrome, and this notch on the body matches that. That's why it's there on the body. Turn signals, which work just like turn signals in pretty much any car, left and right. Headlights with high beam and low beam and off. Let's look under the hood. We have functionality items. Here's the fuse box, which I've already unscrewed for ease of display. And in a number of languages, it's all spelled out what the fuses do. And we have the various reservoirs, washer reservoir, clutch fluid reservoir, because this is a manual transmission car, brake fluid reservoir, relays, they're all described, their electrical components, the body tag, a feature that 280s don't have, the covers for the subframe mounts. All of the lines and linkages are gold cadmium plated. That's how the factory did it. Again, this is a restored car, so all the finishes were renewed here. And many of the parts were just purchased brand new. Power steering reservoir. Dipstick, this is where you fill your oil. Mercedes battery. We see the distributor with the 250 orientation of the terminal ends, which come out at 180 degrees and go over the fuel injection lines. On a 280, they're on right angles and they go under. It's a feature that a lot of people aren't aware of. Everything is factory or genuine, and you can tell on some of the pieces, such as the hoses, they have the Mercedes star on them. And of course, all of the hose clamps are the correct hose clamps. They're not general auto parts store hose clamps. These are all specific to this model. Over here we have the coolant expansion tank with silver CAD clamps. That's how they were. The top actually has a 100 stamped on it, the cover that is, and it's gold. Up front we have the fan shroud, which is a US car feature. A lot of the European cars didn't have that due to a colder climate. Up front here we have the limiting strap for the hood, keeps it from hyperextending and possibly damaging the torsion bar, which is this black item which holds the hood up for you. This is the secondary catch, which is always satin black. They're never body color or anything else. We have the correct labels. And we have this round bare metal spot. And gee, that's interesting. Why is that not painted? And the reason is that's an electrical ground. We need metal to metal there to make the ground. And we have more, just like on the undercarriage, we have the paint dotology showing here's yellow, here's red, and if you investigate around the engine bay and under the car, you find those things. Here's the windshield wiper motor. Again, everything is new or rebuilt or refinished. Nothing was left untouched. A really interesting artifact, and it's something which is unavailable, are these little hood buffers, which are about 2 inches long, and they have striations or lines on them. And that's how we know this is an original item. This was not replaced because there are no more of these. There is a factory replacement. It just looks a little different. It's not flat on the top. It's rounded and doesn't have the stripes. So some features of this car are absolutely original, although 99.5% is all refinished and brand new. Let's put the soft top up. Lower the visors. One person can lift this if everything is in good fettle, which in this case it is. We're going to orient these spoons towards the inside, so they're set up to go in the receiving ports. Folding top compartment lid goes down. We're going to remove the extra towel to prevent scratches. Rest that there. Avoid the pinch point. We're going to extend this, and now we're going to pull this forward and avoid scarring the upholstery, just to get the post in the port, just the first notch basically, not tightening it all the way. I'm going to come back here and do a 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. The little ping tells us it's fully home. Now we tighten the spoons down, and she's nice and tight. Rain tight. Reverse the procedure. Loosen the spoons, just like halfway. You don't want to move the top back now. That's a key. You want to release the back first and put the feather boa, as I like to call it, in to protect the window. This is the key. Lift this now. Because this must get up out of the way so that the arm doesn't chip that. which can happen if someone forgets to lift this. Then we come to the front and release the spoons all the way, and then bring them back in the low position so that they will orient better back here. And we just walk it down, tuck all the fabric under the hard parts so it does not get pinched. And then this just goes down, palms on the upholstered part, and it makes a little snick noise. Visors up, and she's a roadster. Today we're highlighting this highly authentic restoration of one of our showroom cars. And this car is authentic from the correct size tires with the correct ridge to all the finishes, the chip guards on the wheel lip, the correct body color in the wheel well, and the rocker cover, which is always satin black, secured with round Phillips head screws, not countersunk, with a jack port cover. You notice little drain holes, which are not obscured. All of the parts needed for this restoration are either genuine NOS for new old stock or OEM for original equipment manufacturer. And point of note is this the label here on the inside of the left rear bumper half. It's a very old looking label, so this is probably a new old stock part from Mercedes, so it's also genuine. And the color is beige, beige paint on the back of the bumpers. That's how they came from the factory. Generally, the labels were not left on the parts when Mercedes made the cars, but the restorer left this one in place for proving points. All the finishes are accurate. All the parts that could be replaced were replaced. Gas tank, bumpers, vent for the gas tank. A question that some people might have is, well, gee, Brian, how did the owner assure that this would be an authentic restoration from the cosmetics, beyond the part numbers and all that, which we've covered? And the answer is that he had the shop take methodical pictures of every aspect of the car. Point in fact here are the paint splotches, or what some folks call dotology. And these were done when a fastener was torqued to a specific pounds per square inch or Newton meters in Germany, and then the supervisor would put a paint splotch on those. And the spring tension here on this compensating spring, it has different colors. That tells you what the tension is all about. Different color here for the filler for the differential fluid. So photos were taken of all of this on this highly original car at the time, so that when it was stripped down and then everything rebuilt and refinished, they got everything just the way the car was when it left the factory. And we're going to pan to the left a little bit, going from the differential. This is a cover for the fuel pump. And we had these beautiful Bilstein shock absorbers, which was the original equipment manufacturer for the shocks. The little bands, clamps, which are a special banding clamp, which are silver cad. That's just how they were. And if you look up, you see the beige undercoating with a little red trailing on it from the outside paint, which is how it was done. Continuing to the center of the undercarriage, we see this brushed mark, and this was done with a brush. This is the seam sealer where the rocker meets the floorboard, and the undercoating was applied, and on the seam it was brushed by hand. And then we move into the rough texture, which is always a version of a beige color. And an interesting artifact from looking at highly original cars, untouched cars, we know that the body color blasted a little bit onto the ribs of the beige undercoating. So you'll see traces of body color here, and this was a factory artifact. It's been replicated in this case, since this is a fully restored car. And moving a little farther in, here's another instance of this brushed seam sealer. And here we have something interesting, a red part, which is body color in this case. This is the transmission mounting plate, and on Pagodas or W113 cars, they are always body color. And you notice the fasteners are gold cad in this case. Here we have line clamps for the fuel and brake lines, and they are gold cad, and they are insulated with rubber. These parts are available brand new, and they were replaced with brand new genuine parts in this case. Moving up forward a little bit, we come to the transmission with the hydraulic cylinder, so we know it's a manual transmission car. We have a heat shield of aluminum between the exhaust and the floorboards. We notice another star, so we know this is a genuine part. And you notice how when everything is fresh and clean and new, it essentially looks like art. You really see the engineer or the draftsman's craft here. And there's even more dotology if you look in the nooks and crannies. The restoration shop really did a great job in replicating what the factory had done with all the finishes and the cosmetics. So at the front of the car, we're capturing more of the beauty and the newness and the correctness of all of the parts. From the back of the bumpers, which have beige paint from the factory with runs, because they weren't so concerned with cosmetic perfection here as just getting paint coverage on the back of the bumper. Over here we have a little tail, and that's for the battery tender, because our owner used this as a show car essentially, only putting maintenance miles, so it would sit for periods of time, and he wanted the battery up and ready, so hence the battery tender. We've got these beautiful gold cad clamps holding the sway bar, beautiful Bosch horns, beautiful oil pan, everything's beautiful, more dotology, brake calipers, which are aluminum, more dotology, and we have little cappies on the bleeders.